Good morning, everybody. We're live from the birdhouse, and this is our last broadcast of February. It's already February 27th, so we only have a couple more days left. So we'll give you an update about the different things people are seeing in the area. Definitely is starting to feel like spring. It's been quite mild, and the sun is shining, the birds are out there singing, and the temperature has been quite nice. So it's starting to feel quite a bit like spring. As always, we want to know what kind of things you're seeing. You can put your sightings in the comments. If you have any questions, you can throw those in there too, or you can just say hi. I should mention also the kind of hot thing that we've been selling a lot of, especially if you are local to the Rochester area, are the Eclipse sunglasses. So the eclipse that we're getting here, the full totality solar eclipse is on April 8th, and we have solar glasses. We have the individuals that are only $1.95. We've got 4-packs, which have been really popular for $6.95. And then we also even have these kits that you can use to take a picture of the eclipse with your phone. So it's a special type of film you put over your phone camera, and it will allow you to take pictures of the eclipse. And this comes with glasses too. So these have been very, very popular. We still have them in stock. You can buy them from us in person or even on our website, which is thebirdhouseny.com. We have them all up there, and they are here for you. So everybody is excited for the eclipse, which is only about a month or so away. So it's coming up pretty quickly. This is a site that we're probably going to see within the next month or so. It's been feeling quite mild out there. The temperatures have been quite warm considering the time of the year, and the birds are singing quite a bit. So you might start to see birds checking out nesting sites. Some birds, like the larger birds of prey, might already be sitting on nests, or you might see some of their breeding behavior, like 2 big birds of prey flying together as a sign of some of their kind of mating rituals. But it's only a matter of time before you start seeing the birds with the nesting material in their bill. I had a house sparrow in my backyard that had its bill full of nesting material already, making me wonder if they are nesting somewhere or beginning to build a nest somewhere. Bluebirds in general are fairly early nesters for us here in New York. Still probably have some time to go until they start the nesting process, but we've heard reports of them checking out nesting cavities. So if you haven't cleaned out your nesting boxes from last year, now is a really good time to do that. You definitely want to do that before they start the nesting process. And they're starting to look for places. So if you haven't put up those new birdhouses, now is a good time to do it. We just got a whole big shipment of birdhouses in. We've got some different styles. We've got different colors, all kinds of bluebird houses, wren houses. We've got some more decorative types of houses that are still fully functional that you can clean out. So if you're looking for some birdhouses, we've gotten some brand new shipments in. So really exciting. And yeah, it's only a matter of time before we start hearing the stories of the birds gathering more nesting material. So what I'm going to do is we just got a whole bunch of more nesting balls in too. I'm going to grab one of these today and put it up in the yard. All the other ones I had are all empty from last year, and see if the birds start grabbing it. Wouldn't surprise me if the sparrows are already going to take some of the nesting material there out of the nesting balls. So starting to see some signs of nesting behavior, even though it's still pretty early. Although it wouldn't surprise me if house sparrows are already kind of starting, because they are very opportunistic in that way. Lots of blackbird activity, or birds that get grouped in with the blackbirds, like the European starling. We've heard lots of reports of them raiding feeders. The European starlings right now are still in their winter plumage, so they look like this. They're fairly dark with all those bright white speckles on them. As we get into breeding season more, they will shed those feathers, and they will be more iridescent in color, with still with speckles, just not as bright white. So as they molt, they'll get their breeding plumage. And a lot of red-winged blackbird reports too. And over the past probably 3 weeks or so, it's been increasingly more and more and more reports of red-winged blackbirds coming to feeders, which makes sense if they're migrating into the area. They are pretty hungry. They've been flying. Usually overnight is when they migrate overnight, and then they hunker down in the morning, and they're looking for something to eat. So don't be surprised if you start seeing some at your feeders. This is a picture of a red-winged blackbird, male and female. The male is on the left and the female is on the right. So the female almost looks like kind of an overgrown sparrow type of a thing. She's quite larger than, say, your house sparrow. She's got that buffy kind of colored stripe that goes over her eye, but she looks very, very different than the male red-winged blackbird. But you might see both of them at your feeders, especially the male red-winged blackbirds we're getting a lot of reports on right now. So curious if any of you guys have seen those. Some brown-headed cowbirds are coming around too, and sometimes these guys will all form mixed flocks. You might get the red-winged blackbirds, brown-headed cowbirds, grackles, all together in one big flock. So brown-headed cowbirds, like their name suggests, they have a brown head, they have an iridescent blue body, and the females are just kind of all brownish colored, but they all have this kind of stocky, kind of short, stocky beak. And then there's the grackles. Yes, we're hearing reports of grackles coming to people's feeders. And there's just going to be more to come because they are some of our earliest birds to come back into the area. So we're just starting to hear some reports of the grackles, which out of these birds that we just mentioned, the European starling, the red-winged blackbird, brown-headed cowbird, grackles are going to be the biggest. They have that brightly colored eye, that bright white eye. They have an iridescent blue head and kind of a brownish, blackish, iridescent body. And they can eat a lot of food. So if you are getting a lot of any of these blackbirds and the European starling, if you want to kind of not go through as much seed and kind of keep them at bay, if you will, you can always put out safflower seed because they don't like it. It's a favorite of chickadees, and cardinals absolutely love it. House finches love the safflower seed, but these blackbirds, like the grackles and the brown-headed cowbirds, don't like it. Squirrels don't really like it either, so that's another perk of feeding the safflower seed. You can get it loose, just like black oil sunflower seed that you would pour into your feeder. So you can pour it into your feeder, or you can get things like this. This is one of the safflower seed logs, and this takes the birds longer to go through because they kind of have to peck away at it. They can't just grab a piece and fly away. So this is a really good thing to put out in your yard if you want to keep some seed out there for some of the more colorful songbirds, I guess I should say, the house finches, the cardinals, and it won't go as fast as, say, your black oil sunflower seed, which can easily get decimated, especially if you've got those blackbirds coming through right now. People are getting pine siskins coming to their sunflower and Niger feeders. This is your typical pine siskin here. It's very stripy with a little bit of yellow on its wing. They have a really sharp beak, which you can see pretty well here in this picture. And they are around, and they'll be around throughout the spring as well. They just tend to be more common in backyards this time of the year. So be out on the lookout for them. Of course, American goldfinches, there's a lot of them around. They're kind of flocking around without any rhyme or reason. So you might have dozens of them at a time for weeks, and then they just kind of disappear. That's pretty common with them. I haven't seen any in my backyard for a couple months, but then all of a sudden they'll show up and I'll have them for weeks at a time. So there's no real rhyme or reason. The thing with goldfinches and any kind of bird that will feed from Niger feeders is just make sure that your feeder is clean and the seed is fresh, because that Niger seed can go bad after 2 or 3 months or so. So if that's the case, the birds won't come to the feeder. So if you haven't seen any birds coming to your Niger feeder for a while, if it's been, say, a month or so, it might be in your best bet to just empty it out, clean out the feeder really well, and refill it with some fresh seed to see if that makes a difference. Tree sparrow, there's definitely tree sparrows around still, that being technically winter still. This is a picture of a tree swallow taken, or a tree sparrow taken at Menin Ponds by Mark. It's got a chestnut colored cap and it's got that bicolored bill. So the top of its bill is black and the bottom is yellow. So pretty cool. Juncos are still around. People are seeing a lot of them. Red-breasted nuthatches. So there's still nuthatches around. They kind of ebb and flow as far as how many of them there are around. People are getting red-breasted nuthatches, white-breasted nuthatches, especially at their suet feeders or peanut feeders or feeders that have the sunflower hearts. And the nuthatches are also cavity nesters. So if you have birdhouses out, don't be surprised if you start seeing them kind of pop their heads in there and check out the different kinds of cavities that they might use to nest. As far as birds that are out and about, not so much in the backyard. No snowy owls this year, but short-eared owls people are definitely seeing. If you're in the Rochester area, the closest place to go see them is at a park called Buckland Park, but they're being seen throughout the upstate New York area, Finger Lakes area. The best thing to do is look on eBird if you want to get an exact idea of where to go to see these short-eared owls that come out at dusk to hunt. And you can see this one has a prey item there in its talons, but the short-eared owls are still around. Some snow buntings have been seen too, especially up by the lake shore. You can sometimes find big flocks of snow buntings. Sometimes you just see a few individuals, but snow buntings are still here. Horned lark people are reporting as well, usually in the same kind of open fields that you'll find the snow buntings. You can find some horned larks. And then the water birds. There are tundra swan around, so you're probably used to seeing the mute swan, which has this bright orange bill. There's lots of mute swans around, but this time of the year, in the winter, we also get what are called tundra swans, which don't have that bright orange bill. They have a black bill, but then they also have the yellow right in front of their eye. So keep an eye out for tundra swans. Also, people are seeing them around the lake. Talked about gulls a little bit the other day, ring-billed gulls, which have that black stripe that goes through their bill. They are definitely around in some big numbers now. Herring gulls, same kind of a thing. They're larger than the ring-billed gulls. You can see they don't have that stripe that goes through their bill, but they will have a little red dot on the bottom side of their bill. And this one, you can kind of see it in the picture. It's not bright red, but this is the herring gull. And both of those are around right now. And the great black-backed gull as well, which is a lot bigger than the herring gull and the ring-billed gull. So they're significantly bigger. If you see a great black-backed gull, you'll know because it's much, much larger than the other gulls, and its back is very, very dark. So whereas the ring-billed gull and the herring gull, they have very light gray backs, the great black-backed gull has a very, very dark back. Lots of long-tailed ducks are out there right now. It's the winter time, and they are all along the lake shore. So basically, anywhere you go along the lake, if it's unfrozen, you'll probably see some long-tailed ducks. Big, big rafts of long-tailed ducks out there. These are some pictures sent in a while ago from Mark of some gulls at Irondequoit Bay. And this is a great picture because it shows the size difference between some of those, the herring gulls and the ring-billed gulls. And then the great black-backed gull is in there mixed in with them. So the great black-backed gull is in the middle here. And you can see how much smaller, even though it's in the background, you can see how much smaller all those other gulls are in comparison to it. And here they are in flight. Great black-backed gull is here in the middle there, and you can see just how dark its wings are as well in comparison to the other gulls. Lots of bald eagles out there also. I just saw a bald eagle yesterday along the Genesee River while walking with a bright white head and white tail. I saw a couple over the weekend too around Irondequoit Bay, going out into Webster over the Bay Bridge. There's two big bald eagles flying overhead in their juvenile plumage, but lots of eagle activity out there. Any big bodies of water that are unfrozen, keep an eye out for bald eagles. They're expanding their ranges their populations are growing, and so they're expanding. So there's more of them out there for you to come in contact with. Here's some pictures out on Irondequoit Bay of some bald eagles. There's an adult on the left there, and then two juveniles flying around here in their juvenile plumage. A couple other photos there. So there's also, of course, lots of waterfowl out there. Here's a white-winged scoter. We talked about the different scoters that you can find out here this time of the year. There's the black scoter, there's white-winged scoter. We also get surf scoter. white-winged scoter seem to be the more common of the three of what people have been seeing. And this is a picture of a white-winged scoter, and you can see the little white triangular patch on its wing there, which gives it its name. And also grebes. This is a horned grebe photo taken by Mark J, who says, notice its lobed feet similar to the American coot. And if you look down, you can see its feet are sticking out behind its body. You can kind of see they have these very, very strange feet that are lobed. They almost look like kind of like a leaf of a sassafras tree or something like that. They have these big lobes on them, and really, really different and unique from other waterfowl. So this is a horned grebe, and here it is diving. It's one of those diving ducks that'll dive underwater to get its prey. And this is what it looks like in its breeding plumage. So right now, it's not in its breeding plumage, but as we get closer into the spring, they'll start to molt, and this is what they'll look like during the breeding season. So some of these waterfowl can look quite a bit different depending on the time of the year. Here's another white-winged scoter surrounded by the long-tailed ducks and another long-tailed duck. So lots of long-tailed duck activity out there. And scaups are another type of waterfowl, another type of duck. On Saturday, we talked about the greater scaup versus the lesser scaup. The lesser scaup has the thinner head, and this greater scaup has a larger, more rounded head. So that's a nice photo there of the greater scaup. And here's a couple bald eagles, some more bald eagle action here. Verondacoit Bay, 2 juvenile bald eagles locking their talons. Really cool shot there. But that is the update I have for you guys today. As we get closer into the spring, we'll be talking more about bluebirds. We'll be talking about houses and all the different types of housing out there for birds. If you have any questions, you can throw those in the comments, or if you have any sightings or anything like that, go ahead and throw them in. Steel Monkey is on and says, Liz, my BFF, I've been putting some raisins out and the birds love them. Do you put any fruit out? What do you recommend to dress up the menu? Thanks. Yeah, that's a good question. You can put raisins out. You can put currants out. Some people put blueberries out. We have a seed blend in the store called Woodpecker, which it's our Woodpecker blend, Woodpecker favorite blend, and that has fruit in it. That's what I put in most of my feeders is the Woodpecker blend. So I give them fruit that way. Sometimes the best way to supplement them with fruit, if you can, is to plant different bushes that provide fruit for the birds, like elderberries and blueberry bushes and things like that, which not everybody has the space for. But yeah, if you can put raisins out there, I've heard if you dip them in water, like if you soak them in water, that can make it easier for the birds to eat them, but you don't really have to do that. But yeah, any kind of raisins, currants, blueberries, those are great ways to give them a little bit something extra. That, and of course the insects too, things like mealworms can also help. Lynn is on and says, R.I.P. Flacco. Yeah, R.I.P. Flacco. If you haven't heard that story, there's an owl, I think it was a Eurasian eagle owl, kind of like a great horned owl, but bigger, that escaped or was let go or something of a zoo out in New York City. And it's just been living in the wild for months now. And it just passed away recently, within the past week or something like that. So yeah, R.I.P. Flacco. Had a good run out there in the wild for a while. So Lynn's on with remembrance of Flacco. Let's see, looks like everybody's comments and questions for the day. We'll be back on Saturday with another broadcast. And until then, have a great week and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.